Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Business Minute. I'm your boy, sir, and I have a special guest. And how would you like me to introduce you,
Zo'e D.
Zo'e D?
Yes.
Zo'e D is in the building from BraiddzbyZo'e.
Yes.
Now, the way I encountered you, Miss Zo'e, is I'm always on the book searching and lurking. Not for any DMs to slide in. I'm just looking to find my black businesses in Mobile that are doing the damn thing. I hate to say it that way, but doing the damn thing. Like, because I always say the most important thing we can do is support each other.
Exactly.
And that's exactly what I'm doing.
Okay.
So I reached out to Miss Zo'e, told her, hey, what we do. She agreed to come do an interview, and here she is today. So thank you for coming.
Yes, you're welcome. Thank you for the opportunity.
Oh, it's my pleasure. My pleasure. So before we get started, I know I already asked you this before the recording, but if you could just tell everyone what it is that you do.
I'm a hair braider. I've been braiding for 5 years. I just currently got my natural hair license so that I can be legit.
Get your money.
Yes.
All right. And how long have you been active in hair?
In hair, a long time. In hair, in general, it's been more than 5 years. But taking it further to the next step, to BraidzbyZo'e, it's been 5 years.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And what inspired you to start in the hair business?
In the hair business, just the love of doing hair. I used to just start with my own hair, trying different styles every day, especially in high school, because that's when you can really branch out and do things with your own hair. And then I started with like family and friends, close family and friends, just testing some styles out, different braid techniques. It was hard, it was rough in the beginning, but I just kept going and trying to build skill and build quality in what I do. But what ultimately got me into braiding was wanting to beautify those that, have a hard time paying to get their hair done. Because I remember times I would just, do my friend's hair and I'll just say, I'll give you this style on me. It'll be free, And I would just try my best to get it, in a good look. And it started from there. I just love to see women at their best, pretty, making sure they look like something and not just going out of the house with their hair on top of their head and just not caring how they look when they go outside. So it started with that. That's my passion. I love to see women looking good. And when you look good, you feel good. So
self-confidence.
Yes.
All right. Providing that is important.
Yes.
Because self-love in this age of media is not as prevalent as it seems.
It's not.
It's a lot of fake out there. And when you're comparing yourself to something unrealistic, you can learn to hate yourself inadvertently.
Exactly. And that's another reason I started. And that's why I want to go beyond BraidzbyZo'e, because I feel like our youth girls need to know that they can be confident in themselves no matter what they look like. I get tired of society trying to make them look and feel a certain way. Because even as an adult, sometimes I see, I like that. I want to look like that. But at the end of the day, we're our own selves. We have to be our true selves. And that's what I'm just kind of realizing now as I get older and older. You have to be your true self. You can't always look like Beyonce. You can't always look like Megan Thee Stallion. You got to look like you and make yourself feel good. So if you want to wear weave, I'm not knocking that. You can do that. But don't get lost in it. Don't get lost in material things. That's it.
I think spreading the message is important, especially at this age. Because we have a whole generation beneath us.
Right. And I have a daughter of my own. So I don't want her feeling insecure about anything about herself. I want her to always feel like she can be herself. She can look like herself. I don't want her to always want to look like somebody else or want to do things that these other girls are doing.
Okay.
I don't want that.
Let me ask you something. And this is just we always talk about being candid on this.
Yeah.
Does this come from something, like you said, a self-realization?
Yes.
Was this an issue that you ever approached? Because I know I did growing up.
Oh, yeah.
Especially because as, black communities, we love to jank and joke and stuff.
Exactly.
Sometimes, and it does develop tough skin, I agree, but some of that stuff can hurt.
And it can stick.
Yes.
And it did come from that. Because I've always dealt with that insecurities, especially once you start dating. And you think about that type of stuff. You kind of think about what the girl looked like, before you. You start thinking like that, especially in like middle school, and that's when you really start to feel yourself. You grow into yourself, and like just who you surround yourself by. If they look a certain way, of course you're gonna want to look like them.
Right.
But you, like I say, you have to get to your genuine self. You can't look like them. You have to be you and feel you. Like you have to get in tune with yourself. And yes, it did arise from middle school, high school, even college. I had to, I'm just getting myself to where I'm feeling more comfortable about me. Because it's hard, right. Especially being a woman.
Right.
It's hard.
Because it's a lot of expectancy put on
yes, you guys. It is. Especially with society. I mean.
y'all have, I'm just going to get on my soapbox for a second. We all know about the double standard.
Right.
We as men are able to do more with less, and you guys aren't given that same amount of rope to work with.
Exactly.
So I feel exactly where you're coming from, and to come to that realization at the age that you are, I'm not going to divulge that on camera.
Thank you.
But I appreciate you being there to say that,
right.
Because people, like you say, we are so lost in the now that we forget that we are still growing.
Exactly.
You have to strive to be a better person. You have to strive to see the beauty in yourself.
And sometimes it takes time, and it takes a lot of prayer, which I'm learning too. You have to pray that you don't get caught up in everything that's around you, because there were times I got caught up, and I'm like I say, dealing with certain people, friends, relationships, it'll get you down sometimes, and you just have to get back to yourself.
In fact, you have to learn
pray,
to cut out this chaff and find out what's important.
Exactly, and that's where your growth comes from.
Ooh, you had to come over there again. Right. All right. So I wanted to ask you specifically, with all these years you've been invested in hair and looks and self-confidence. Right. Were there any obstacles that you encountered along the way?
Plenty.
Let's talk about it.
There's a lot of people in Mobile that, or in the world in general, that do the same thing. So I doubted myself a lot. I'm like, can I really do this? Can I really be a dope hair braider? Can I really, take my styles above and beyond like everybody else is doing? Because, you get inspired by others.
True.
I got inspired by what I was seeing. And when new braid techniques come, I'm inspired by that. I'm like, I got to do that, But, talk. A lot of people talk. So that's where kind of my doubt and fear came from.
I don't mean to interrupt, but when you say talk, what do you mean?
Negativity. Like if they see your work, especially if you're, so especially if you're just beginning and you mess up on something or they don't quite like it, they're going to say something.
Critics.
So that's, so that's why you have to really continue practicing every day, and that's what I try to do. I try to practice, even if I'm doing a friend's hair, if I'm doing my daughter's hair, if I'm doing my own hair. Practice, because I'm just learning that people are going to talk, but you got to make sure they're talking about something at the same time. You got to make sure there's quality in your work. You can't just be doing something just to do it. And there's a lot of times I got down to myself. I'm like, is this really what I want to do? But every time I tried to run away from it, it kept coming back. So I'm like, yeah, this is what I really want to do.
Right.
And I just got to practice, and I got to keep going no matter what no one says.
There you go.
You got to keep going.
I hear you. So I get what you're saying. That's kind of enlightening. You say people are going to talk regardless. So give them something good to talk about. Right. I like that. Right. That's a good creed to live by. That's kind of dope. I might have to write that down. All right. So this one is more of a personal question. Okay. As far as time management goes, how do you, with you being a stylist, with you being a mom, how do you manage to find that balance?
Ooh, it's hard.
Well, she ain't let me get it out. Let's go.
It's really hard because I also work a full-time job. Ooh. But like I said, I love to do what I do, and then I'm just going to create time for what I want to do. Weekends, I try my best to spend time with my daughter. I see my daughter every day. There's not a time I don't see her. So with work and with braiding hair and my daughter, I just try to balance it. I open my schedule up for braiding, and guess what? You're not gonna have clients every day.
Right.
So if it's open, it's open, and if I can take it, I'll take it. But I put what's important first. My daughter's first. My full-time job is coming because eventually I want to break off and have my own salon. But I do what I can with what I have now.
No, that's definitely important. It's always good to have. I try every year to have a goal that I work towards.
Right.
Regardless whether it's a long-term goal or short-term. I just need to accomplish something.
Exactly. And that's why I had to start writing it down, because that's where that fear and doubt comes in, is to, you know, can I really manage this? Can I really do this? You have to write it down. Right. And God will get you where you need to go if you just write it down and have a plan and really do it.
Right. There is definitely an energy in words.
Right.
So when you speak it, it literally can come into existence. You have to bring that energy and put it out. Put it out in the air. I'm laughing at her guest. I'm laughing. I'm sorry. She's only about to shout next to me. But I feel you. I feel you. I was just pointing. I have a whiteboard, and people that I want to interview, I write down, and God always makes a way where I do. And I have a new list that just came last week, because I got everybody last week, because I got you last.
Yes.
So I got everybody I wanted. So I appreciate you reinserting that into the interview, that people really need to manifest those things, speak and write life into what you want to do.
Yes, I have about 10 journals. And it's like I've read through, I found old journals, and I go through, and it's like the same goals, and I'm like, I still need to achieve those, so let me get some work done.
Let me ask you something. Have you found an old journal and saw how far you've come? I have.
And most recently, it's amazing. And then you pray about it too, so it's like, thank you, God.
I believe God drops those little nuggets of affirmation and faith restoring pieces to let you see, because we as humans, we're self-centered. As much as you don't want to be, y'all are. Everything revolves around you, whether you realize it or not.
Especially if He gives you something good, those blessings.
So those moments where I always say God goes silent sometimes, especially when you're asking them the same thing over and over again. Because that's what parents do. When the child asks you for something that you already told them they could have, or you already told them you provided for, they keep asking you, I'm done talking. I'm not going to waste the energy and tell you, because I've already told you.
Exactly.
Right. And so it's really a method of checking your faith. You really have to find those journals, see those past pages where you crossed out things. Look where you've come from, and now keep going forward. He didn't leave you yet, so
so don't stop.
Preach. So over these last years that you've had, is there one memory that you would say is the most memorable overall, like out of all of them?
Out of all, braiding hair, this natural hair license, and building my technique. Well, my best friend Bria really motivated me and pushed me, because I've always kind of been back and forth with it, and she stayed on me. She's like, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to get your license. And I'm like, I know, but I always had a but. So the biggest thing came from her pushing me and telling me I need to go ahead and do it, so that we can, work together, we can get some things done. You can get some things done. So getting my natural hair license was a big thing for me, especially with braiders, because they say if you're not licensed, you can't work in a shop, things like that. So I really wanted to achieve that, so that I can get better and better, not just do it just to do it. And with me braiding, doing hair in general, I don't do it for the money. I do it because I love it, and I do it because I want to see my results. I want to see that person looking good and say, hey, I like this, I'm gonna come back. I like that. Forget the money. A lot of people are motivated by the money. It helps, of course it helps, but at the end of the day, you like to see your hard work being done. You like to see that result. You can't juggle money. You can't put money ahead of that. Because you, on the inside, you get a good feeling when you've done something good. So That's the biggest part.
I agree with you. You have to love your craft more than the money.
Exactly.
Especially if you start off grassroots, not getting paid much, doing things for free.
Exactly.
You'll quit if that's the reason that you're in this business for.
And that's why I've stopped. Because I used to have cheap prices for braids, like really cheap. And everybody's like, you do all that work and you don't charge. I don't care about the money, especially if I'm already working. I have a full-time job. Yes, one day I want to take this head on and have my own shop, but right now God is just telling me, do this for her for this price. You ain't gotta have a whole bunch of money, because I feel like people get cocky and get crazy when they have a whole lot of money coming in, and that I feel like you lose your craft, you lose your passion and your technique when you get that big head. So I started off with cheap prices because I wanted to build my technique before I started, charging the big bucks.
I respect that. You want to be the best at it. All right. I get that. All right. So my next question, I call the inverse question, because it's kind of the exact opposite of that question.
Okay.
So I always say for every high there's a low. Because you can't climb a mountain if you're not at the valley first. So is there any moment that you felt you wouldn't be successful in this? And if it was, who or what changed your mind?
There was, I had, like I said, I was at a point where I was like, I don't want to do this anymore, because for me, I don't like when somebody doesn't like something, and then with certain clients, they're not going to tell you right then that they don't like it. They'll wait, or they'll post something on Facebook. I don't like that. That hurts me on the inside. That makes me feel like that's a low point for me, especially if I'm trying my hardest and I'm putting all this work into it, and you wait until a month later, or you make a post on Facebook saying I didn't like this, or you tell somebody else and they come back and tell me. That hurts for me.
Right.
Because I am passionate about what I do. I'm still learning every day. I'm human, just like you're human. So that for me is when I get to a low point. That's what gets me down about my business, because sometimes there are naysayers. But at the end of the day, I keep going. I don't give up, because I'm still going to be me. I'm still going to do my best, for Braidz by Zoe. So that's how I feel.
You notice how she smiles with every answer at the end? Cool.
And when you're passionate,
Yeah.
Right.
But another human, they'll tell you down in a minute.
They will.
True.
They're not afraid of that, especially with our community. They have the tendency to just be very outspoken. Like, I prefer to you not to belittle me, just tell me right then about what you don't like, so that I can fix it.
Right. I think it's a place of malice, because people will come together to burn a barn but won't come together to build it.
Thank you.
So it's that mentality, and in order to combat that mentality, you, like you said, have to keep going.
I do. I have to pray. I have to talk to my best friend Bria. I have to talk to my mom.
Shout out to Bria.
Yes. I have to just kind of keep my calm, because I'm not a controversial person. I'm to myself. I'm quiet. I'm cool.
Introvert.
Yes. So I don't like conflict at all. And I'd rather you be upfront with me, so that I don't hold it in my mind thinking about what I'm doing wrong. That's what I don't like. Yes.
I'm an introvert myself. I like to call us thinkers.
Yes.
Because we will roll it around. What did I
What did I need to fix? I don't understand.
How could I do this different? Right. And it'll keep us up at night.
It will.
Everything.
And that's what it took me down for a minute. I was like, I gotta stop. But I feel like when you do have those moments, it's okay to take a break. It's okay to say, I'm gonna just push it to the side for a second. Let me take a breather. Let me practice some techniques. I specifically, if they said that there was something wrong with a certain style, I'll take it home and I'll try to practice on it myself, or a mannequin, so that I can, get better at it.
All right. No, don't give up.
Nope.
Always go back and sharpen that blade.
Right.
Here you girl. Keep going. Keep going. All right. So this next question, I dubbed the long-term question. I got names for questions. The long-term question.
Oh my goodness.
All right. So where would you like to see yourself Braids with Zo'e, as a mom, as a person, just long term. Over the next 1 year?
Yeah.
3 years.
Yeah.
And then 10 years.
Okay. Well, within the next year, I'm hoping that I can branch out on my own and open my own salon. I know it's going to take some time and effort, but I'm hoping that I can at least get Braidz by Zo'e well known in the community.
Okay.
If I don't open a salon. Next 3 years, Braidz by Zo'e, I'm hoping to already have that salon, and I'm hoping to open it to other braiders and other stylists, nail techs in the community, not overcharging them, just as long as they're doing what they want to do, they're passionate about it. I'm not going to, overcharge them. 10 years, I'm hoping Braidz by Zo'e has taken off full blown. I'm hoping I'm known around the world, at least around the city, around Alabama. I'm hoping to also be a community leader. I'm hoping I can have the courage to speak to those youth girls that need that confidence boost in life. I'm hoping that Braidz by Zo'e is just not a Braidz by Zo'e brand. I'm hoping that it justifies who Zo'e D is, and I can open up and I can let them know my story and let them know that it's okay to be you, because I feel like society has just torn us to where we can't be ourselves, and it's hard for us to get to the top with people just continually pushing us down, and it's hard in your own community. So I'm hoping that Braidz by Zo'e can be at least community wide known. Right.
So. And with your mindset, I know you can do it. I'm not going to say I hope. I'm not going to say I'm going to speak that into existence for you. And I want you to do the same. In fact, I dare you to do the same. Say you will instead of I hope. Right? So this next question is the last question.
Okay.
I always dedicate this question to everybody listening, because the hardest thing you can do is what you did. Take a step and a gamble on yourself, on something that you're passionate about, and share it with the world. So what words of encouragement would you have for that person who's listening or watching right now? And it's like, I have an idea, but I'm scared. What would you say?
Go for it. The worst thing you can do is, like many people say, is sit on that idea. If you just write it down and continually write it down, no matter how many journals you have, you'll get there. It's hard, yes, because you're always going to have somebody telling you that it's impossible for you to do that when there's so many other people doing it. But just go for it. Don't stop. And you have to keep God first, because without Him, you can't get anywhere. And just know that He's always with you. You have to clear your mind and your surroundings and your head, and just know that He's with you. Forget about everybody else. Tune everybody else out and just go for it.
I love that. I'm always with that message. Keeping God first. You can't go wrong.
Right.
All right. Especially since He gave you the idea to start with.
Exactly.
Yes, ma'am.
And I feel like that's what a lot of people have forgotten. You can't have that business without God. Yes, you had it in your mind to do, but He gave you that idea.
Right.
Work on it. Manifest it.
Preach. All right. Miss Zo'e, if anyone wanted to get in contact with you via social media, the only thing I don't like to do is phone numbers, because there are people out there. So if anybody wanted to see your work via social media, or just wanted to talk with you about hair, business, or may need some words of encouragement like you just gave just now, how could they contact you?
My Instagram, I have two.
IG?
I have one for Braidz by Zo'e, and it's Braidz with the Z _by_Zo'e, Zo'e. And my personal Instagram is Zo'e D, which is ZO. I forgot it. But it's Zo'e D on Instagram, my personal one. Y'all find it. And I'm also on Facebook. It's Zoe Elizabeth Dinkins.
All right. So if you're listening, go and follow, share, check out some of her work, support. And we always talking about supporting business. Well, if you want somebody to support your dream, you have to do the same for others.
Exactly.
If they make it, we make it. And that's the important thing. So this has been your boy, Sir, 2020 podcast, The Business Minute. Miss Zo'e D from Braidz by Zo'e.
Yes.
Thank you again for coming out and taking time out your day. I really appreciate you sharing that message and having this conversation, because it was much needed. People need to hear this. I can say this all day, but when it comes from a black woman who is doing what she loves, I think it's that much more important.
So thank you so much for having me.
Okay, no problem. And that's it. You got it done. You did great.
Oh, I'm so nervous.
I can tell.
Okay.
The first few minutes you were when we was talking, but when I got her talking, she was fine. You was perfectly fine.
Okay, great. I'm over here hot.
Oh yeah, my bad. I
It's okay.
I meant to tell you this light can hit you up.
Oh,
Right, yeah. Right.
Like
Green
you got a
light.
spotlight.
right.
And you still sound nervous, so
I
I'm not
am.
going to jump into it just yet.
Okay. I'm
Because
trying
what
to
happens
listen
is
up.
it translates. It really translates because
Okay.
you're fidgeting with your hands. You're
Yes.
super stiff. I
Okay.
understand you're sitting up, but you can lean or whatever. I just wanted to
Okay.
make sure I keep you at like a
And
box.
focus. Gotcha.
Yeah, right. So you can move. It look like you on an actual job interview. I ain't there yet. I'm not there. All right. Ask your question because this has been an ongoing debate.
Okay.
How do you feel about that ruling with the gentleman's intruder getting 10 years? Just be real.
I don't like it.
Me either.
Because if it were us,
Mm.
it would be totally different.
Tell the truth, shame the devil.
It's just, but that's how the system works. So there's nothing, you can't really feel anything about it. That's
Right.
just how the system works. But I don't like it at all.
Right.
So.
The part that got me, and a lot of people are joking, that hug thing.
Yeah, I didn't feel that was necessary because you can't hug your brother. And I feel like he did that to have peace, but at the same time, there's no peace. He's gone.
Right.
So she shouldn't feel like she could be comfortable.
Right.
I feel there's a level of comfort that she can have knowing.
And she doesn't deserve it. I
Right.
agree.
And then her sentencing isn't that long, so.
Right. And I'm not sure if she's getting federal time or state time, but she's probably going to be out within 4 to 5 years. She's
Right.
not going to do that full
Exactly.
time.
So I don't like how that went at all. And stuff like that I try to stay away from because it makes you angry on the inside.
It does. It does. I had to make sure I wasn't the only one outraged. And it's just the fact that this is a trend. Because I remember, I won't say this is when it started, but it started for me with the Trayvon Martin situation.
Right.
I was living in Huntsville when that happened. Everybody was living. I even went and marched because of that. I put on my black hoodie. We went around the campus, marched, had a vigil, everything. And it's so normalized now.
Right.
It's like, oh man, we upset. We'll post on Facebook about it, but I feel like, excuse my language, I know I'm watching church, but I'm gonna be 100. I feel like we're not raising the appropriate levels of hell that we should be. And it put me to a point where, and friend, maybe you could attest to this as well. She out the zone. But I feel like there needs to be some sort of round table. We need to sit and talk as a community or as family. Like it's bigger than us now. It's bigger than your family and my family. It's the black community.
It is.
And every city needs to sit down and have a chat.
Right.
That we're being targeted.
Exactly.
And,
But I feel like that's kind of hard to do. Because if you think about how some of us were raised, it's kind of hard to have a sit down and say, we need to come together. Because think about it, there's a lot of us attacking each other.
True.
So it's going to be kind of hard to unify when everything is divided nowadays.
Right.
Race is divided, even same races are divided. So it's kind of hard to unify when there's so much separation in everywhere. So which I understand. Yeah, we do need to have a round table and make sure everybody is clear on what's going on, because it's going to become more of an issue as the years go by. It's not going to get easier, it's going to get harder. Right.
And I agree with you. There is a distinct division being created.
Yes.
Even with us, it's generational, and then it went from generations to sex, and then from sexes to classes, because You got some people here that make X amount of money that feel that they're better than this class.
Exactly.
So it's getting to be an issue.
Exactly.
And my thing is, if we have the same people that are willing to advocate for him forgiving the murderer, then we should not have an issue with someone within the black community embracing someone else of the black community.
Right.
Someone made a post the other day, and I completely agreed with it. They said, you have no problem with this man embracing the murder of his brother, but we as black people won't accept our gay relatives. Shut me down. I couldn't say a thing. I couldn't
Look,
say a
you
thing.
see, I'm silent.
Look.
Because that was kind of deep.
Man, and because everybody's got a gay cousin. I always say that on this podcast. Everybody's got one.
Right.
But
even if you don't know it, you got one.
Right, yeah, right.
I mean,
you got
it's
a gay
hard.
cousin that you know of and the ones you don't know of.
Right.
But I agree, man. Like, it's like now it's a point of forget all the divisions, forget all the titles, forget all the. I remember in Charleston when that young lady got hit by that car at a black protest, a Black Lives Matter protest. She was killed for our cause, but we got people that won't die for our own cause or won't even fight for our own cause.
Right.
So we can talk about people fronting, but she paid the ultimate price. She can't get her life back.
Right.
So we can't let her death go in vain. That's the way I feel about it. All right, I'm off my soapbox. I'm gonna get off of it because we'll be here all day.